What is good, everybody? My Paper Moon fam. It's your boy, PaperSin, back with another reaction video. This one is called The Sad Death of Hip Hop's billion-dollar brand, Southpole. You guys remember Southpole? Like, I've had this for years. Still in decent shape. Like, I didn't even realize they were like slowly like disappearing off the racks until I saw this video and I was like, oh, holy shit. It's been a while since I've seen some Southpole. Huh. Well, seeing as I would love to own my own company brand one day, let's see what happened. So, you know, learn from others' mistakes. Be that wise man. Let's check it out. Hold on. There we go.
Kenny and David Kim's groundbreaking idea was to create affordable fashion that spoke to urban youth. That's how...
By the way, this video is by the YouTube channel helloyassine. Hope you're doing well. It's a corny joke. But anyway, as always, link to the video and link to the channel will both be in the description below. So be sure to check them out and see what else they have in store for you. I'm pretty sure they do a couple of, like, you know, hip hop related videos. I've seen a couple of them before. So yeah, and, you know, they have some stuff worth checking out for you. And while you're there, don't forget to do those 3 things I like to ask you to do: like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell for more videos. Yeah. All right, let's get into it.
Breaking idea was to create affordable fashion that spoke to urban youth. That's how Southpole, which was at one point one of the more popular brands in hip-hop, was born, and oddly enough, at the hand of 2 Korean American brothers.
For real?
It quickly matched up to the level of its renowned competitors and became more of a symbol and representation of young people in inner cities.
All right, you know what I'm saying? The 2 Korean brothers were able to make something that hip hop was able to embrace. You know what I'm saying? So they must have understood something about, you know, the hip hop culture. I'm hoping, you know what I'm saying? I'm hoping they just weren't like some rich Korean dudes that was like, yo, we can take advantage of this. But so let's check it out.
The Kims got their start in the US when their family immigrated to New York from Incheon near Seoul in 1977. The unconventional transliteration of their surname traces to an earlier family presence in the US. David was the 3rd eldest of the 5 Kim kids.
Right.
He got a job at a Korean deli when he was 22 years old, but he later left the job and went to work for another Korean immigrant at his wholesale apparel company.
Okay.
In 1981, he took all of his savings of $10,000 and a $5,000 line of credit for merchandising his own brand and opened a retail men's clothing store in Brownsville. Brownsville, Brooklyn at that time was a pretty much entirely black neighborhood. Among them, there were half a dozen other Korean-owned stores on Brownsville's Pitkin Avenue at the time.
So it looks like he did have, you know, a feel for the culture in general. Obviously, he wasn't just some rich dude who wanted to take advantage. It looks like, but he had his own spot. He took his savings and decided to try to make something for the culture. It seems, and that's good, right? Yeah. All right. What else was up? You know what I'm saying? I always, you know, want to give I always respect when immigrants are able to come here and build something. You know what I'm saying? Because I find it inspirational. Like, if they can do it, we damn sure should be able to do it. But a lot of us seem to be, you know, taking everything what we already have for granted. And so it's just a reminder that, hey, like, you slacking. And it's like, all right, I gotta get on my shit. You know what I'm saying? All right.
David describes the situation as, sometimes we heard gunshots. If delivery of our products left before dawn, there was a good chance it would disappear. But over time, David became friendly with his neighbors, and sometimes he even gave them clothing or food.
That's what's
David
up.
describes it as, we could not focus on being the outsiders. We had to earn our respect. As the business was looking bright, David hired his younger brother Kenny to assist him. Kenny was a high school student then, and every day after school, Kenny worked as a messenger who carried inventory on the subway, from wholesalers in Manhattan to the Brooklyn shop. Later in some interviews, Kenny mentioned that he was paid much less for the work he put in for his brother, saying, "For all my hard work, he paid me $20 a week.
Damn.
But what could I do? He's my older brother, so I had to serve him."
Damn. Yo, at least he respected him. But yo, he got shorted. Like $20 a week? Ooh. But I mean, they made it work. I mean, but yeah, they are brothers, but still. If my brother only paid me $20 a week, I don't know. See, for personally, like they have a different type of respect for each other and their family. My brother is 5 years older. I still have been like, man, you gotta pay me more. I still have been a little ungrateful probably, but I gotta respect their respect for each other. You know what I'm saying? Their hierarchy respect, but at the same time, they have a reason for that. You know. Wow. Anyway.
Kenny continued working for David through college at the mere salary of $20 a week. But when their Brooklyn landlord upped the rent in 1989, David decided to move his store to Jamaica, Queens, which was another predominantly black area. The shoppers at Queens were into urban clothing fashion.
Okay.
There was a huge demand for baggy jeans, but the Kims couldn't seem to stock them quickly enough.
Bro, I remember that era. You know what I'm saying? Like, now everything's skinny jeans. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of with Jay-Z on that when it comes to skinny jeans. I can't wear skinny jeans because my knots don't fit. You feel me? I prefer like the more baggy, or the maybe not baggy like that's that bag anymore, but a little more little baggier than skinny jeans and just comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like.
Apparently, other retailers in the area had the same problem. So in 1991, the brothers set up a wholesale business named Wicked Fashions and began sourcing denim from Pakistan specifically to fill this demand.
Really?
A clothing revolution was brewing in the hip-hop community, and the Kims were in it with all they had. And Fashions and began sourcing denim.
Bro, is that a sweatshop? Or is it just like a factory?
From Pakistan specifically to fill this demand.
I feel about it.
A clothing revolution was brewing in the hip-hop community, and the Kims were in it with all they had. The adjoining Queens neighborhood of St. Albans and Hollis were home to many famous rappers such as LL Cool J and Run DMC. Then a young waiter named Damon John began sewing hats with the label he created for FUBU.
Okay.
It was in Hollis in 1992 that the brand FUBU exploded.
Bro, what happened to FUBU too? For us, by us. I don't remember the last time I saw them in like a store either. Granted, I don't go shopping for clothes like all the time anymore, or like that often. So maybe that's why. But still, is FUBU still around?
And gave rise to one of the early lines of what would become a slew of hip-hop brands. FUBU also had hybrid origins and received backing from Samsung Textiles. Behind the scenes, the Koreans provided the budding FUBU with production and distribution channels. But Black Korean tensions began boiling at the same time with New York and especially Los Angeles when we saw certain riots.
Damn.
But the Kims kept the faith based on the fact that they'll eventually become US citizens. David said, "We just kept our heads down and kept working hard." As demand for oversized sweatshirts and t-shirts grew in the locality, David saw the opportunity to market his label to a broader audience. He named it Southpole. The naming of the brand was an apparent act of Korean patriotism as the first Korean team to reach the South Pole several years earlier.
Really? Okay.
Southpole initially mimicked styles that were seen on the street and sold them for less than the celebrated hip-hop brands.
I always did wonder where the name came from. For some reason, I don't know why, but when I was younger, I always thought it was like, maybe it's just, towards the south of the states. And and baby, that's why they named it. But no. Oh man.
The Kims conducted their own market research in addition to watching what their customers wanted. On one trip to Harlem, Kenny spotted a young black man wearing what appeared to be a down-filled puffy jacket. They took note of the jacket so it could be reproduced with the South Pole label.
Okay.
When the Kims knew that factories in Hong Kong were big at that time, they spread out their photographs and sample clothing purchases, explaining in painstaking detail what they wanted. But logically enough, they didn't use manufacturers in Korea, since by that time the rise of labor unions had made it too troublesome and expensive to make clothing there. Kenny had his own ambition to start a mall-based chain of retail stores, selling nothing but hip-hop clothing all along. But he decided to stay loyal to his brother's business and had promised David that he'd stick with Southpole for 5 years, describing it as, "People said to me, 'Are you crazy? You're already successful.'"
Hopefully he was making more than $20 an hour this time.
"I was a big shot in
A day, sorry.
charge of designing, manufacturing, and bringing all the products in. I was a vice president, but Southpole was David's dream, not mine."
Fair enough.
Kenny left for a minimum wage clerk job at a men's clothier in New Jersey Mall, saying, "I had to learn this business from the inside out."
I mean, you gotta give the man props, right? Like, it's like, yo, that's all good and all, but that's his dream. You know, that's my brother's dream. That's not mine. I gotta chase my own shit. I gotta do my own thing. And then he went in and learned the business from the inside out. Oh, yo, I got respect, yo.
After 5 months of ringing up customers and folding sweaters for his brother, Kenny decided to set up a chain of mall-based retail stores focusing on urban street fashion called Against All Odds. He used his savings for rent money. David gave him Southpole merchandise with extended credit lines to support his business. It was 2 months for other buyers and 6 months for Kenny. At that time in 1996, Kenny said, "There were no mall-based hip-hop stores." He set up shop at another New Jersey mall, but at this point, Kenny faced some issues with the local mall. Kenny describes the mall situation as, "The mall was pathetic. I realized pretty quickly that nobody shopped there. You could roll a bowling ball down the walkway, and the chance of hitting somebody was 0. This was my first learning stage." Kenny had to lure shoppers initially. There was some competition because another mall about a mile away routinely drew crowds. But for Kenny, the lease needed to be lowered. So he made up thousands of flyers which had the announcement of 10% off everything in the store.
So why, bro, you should have done your recon first, bro, your reconnaissance. Like, you should have set up shop in that other mall and had, before, like, he should have realized that that mall wasn't making, you know, it wasn't having any customers. You know what I'm saying? And then had realized the other one was the one that was drawing in all the customers. Then he wouldn't have had to do this. That being said, did he already know that, but that there was no available spaces in the other mall and no way to get in, so he had to settle for this mall and then find a way to bring customers to him. I'm guessing it's the latter.
And he left them on car windshields in the other mall's parking lot.
Damn.
Soon, Against All Odds had the foot traffic that Kenny sought. That wasn't all. Kenny had done everything to make his business flourish by cutting his costs in every way possible.
Well, smart.
He was sleeping at one of his stores.
Okay.
He cut his living expenses to almost 0. He recalled the situation back then, saying, "I had no rent, but my parents were a little worried." For promotional ideas, Kenny brainstormed and observed what others around him were doing. One of his Canadian friends told him that the day after Christmas, which is called Boxing Day, was the biggest shopping day in the malls. Kenny saw a sale opportunity and he grabbed onto it by bribing the mall security guards with dinner on Christmas Eve. He persuaded them not to kick him out that night because he needed the night to set things up. Kenny worked feverishly to rearrange the merchandise in the store, staying up all night and much of Christmas to get the work done, and made big posters that read, "Boxing Day Sale." Kenny said while describing his situation now, "I did get some traffic that day, and a lot of confused people asked about Boxing Day was. Most people wanted to make returns. But the customers kept coming back to his store, partially because Boxing Day isn't really a US holiday."
Yeah.
His older brother David also wasn't far away from success. Eno Park was president of the US operations of Samsung's Chale Industries, which was a chemicals and textiles company headquartered in New Jersey, before he joined David as Southpole's development manager.
I still want to know what it is, what Boxing Day is. Like, as soon as they mentioned it, I was like, okay, well, that's not something that's in the US. But still, what is it?
He described his experience as, "David is quiet and shy and is not eloquent, but his way of thinking is extraordinary. He never stops challenging himself. He set seemingly impossible goals. One of them was to make $1 billion in sales by 2010. It sounds impossible, but I think it's achievable." In 2001, Southpole transitioned from a premium brand to a mid-tier brand and entered JCPenney, and also got picked up by Sears for the first time. Back then, the Southpole brand had pulled at least even with FUBU and sold through Sears, JCPenney, who were America's really big department stores. Southpole was JCPenney's strongest national brand in the young men's category. A chain spokeswoman from Southpole said that, The popularity of Southpole among teens prompted us to expand the brand to teenage girls and kids.
Okay.
Southpole spent 3% of its revenues on marketing, which is a touch higher than its competitors, although they didn't have a celebrity to show off, which would take paid promotions. David developed a new line called Lot 29. It was developed with Warner Brothers, and the clothes featured embroidered images of cartoon characters such as Tweety Bird. These higher margin items were sold via different distribution channels than the Southpole branded goods. Lot 29's face at the time was Puerto Rican model Jasleen Gonzalez. She described her appearance saying, "Lot 29 approached me after I won America's Next Top Model, and it's been a fantastic experience ever since. They offered me the opportunity to become the new face of Lot 29, and I gladly accepted. I believe that everything that comes my way is a result of divine intervention, and I feel blessed to showcase my skills in their clothes."
And divine timing.
In 2003, Southpole expanded its reach by signing a distribution license in Japan with Wise Harvest. The following year in 2004, David Kim was recognized as Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur of the Year. 2005 was the year when Southpole decided to collaborate with artists for promotional purposes. They enlisted pop star Ciara for their juniors advertising campaign, further elevating the brand's visibility. As their focus turned towards accessories, Southpole started introducing handbags, footwear, headwear, and cold weather accessories to complement their clothing offerings.
Okay, so I mean, I'm seeing that obviously the success was great. There's only 3 minutes left in the video. How did they fall? How did they, you know what I'm saying? What happened? Like it seems like they were set, right? All they had to do was keep going, keep it up.
Marketing efforts in 2007 led Southpole to sponsor an outfield billboard at Shea Stadium, which was the former home of the New York Mets.
Okay.
It solidified their presence in the sports and entertainment landscape, which was missing up until then. Southpole launched the White Tag brand and the A Prodigy brand in 2008 to help and try to expand their brand portfolio. They secured a license for infant and toddler apparel the same year and tapped into the market for young children's fashion. Unfortunately, after the financial crisis hit in 2008, there were severe challenges for the retail industry. Against all odds, opened stores in California just before the crisis and subsequently filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in January of 2009.
Seriously?
However, they emerged from bankruptcy in December of the same year and continued to operate stores along the East Coast.
Okay.
In 2009, Southpole launched the RS by Ryan Sheckler brand, but ultimately shuttered it the following year in 2010. That same year, the WT02 brand, which was introduced, that expanded Southpole's offerings. By 2010, Southpole had become the 5th largest denim brand in the United States, ranking behind Levi's, Wrangler, Lee, and Calvin Klein, according to NPD Group figures.
Okay.
In 2011, Southpole launched its Speak Up, Step Up anti-bullying campaign, using its platform to address social issues. Additionally, the brand revamped its website from a business-to-business format to a consumer-oriented branding site, aiming to provide an enhanced experience for customers to directly buy from them.
Okay.
Kenny describes his ideology about urban fashion by saying, "In our definition, the term urban does not equal hip-hop. Urban is a much larger realm that may encompass hip-hop. It's a widely accepted misconception to correlate urban fashion with hip-hop, but we think otherwise." Despite being a massively recognized brand, Southpole has been struggling in recent years. In 2019, the company filed for bankruptcy once again and was subsequently acquired by Authentic Brands Group. Since then, Southpole has been working to rebuild its brand and regain footing within the industry, and there are several reasons for Southpole's decline. One reason is that the company's target market has changed severely over the past 2 decades. In the early 2000s, Southpole was popular with young people who were interested in hip-hop culture or grew up with hip-hop culture. However, as that demographic has aged, Southpole has struggled to keep up with their changing tastes and recruiting new people with the new, younger fashion styles. Another reason for Southpole's decline is the company's been slow to adapt to the changing retail landscape. Consumers had been increasingly shopping online, and Southpole wasn't really able to keep up with the shift to e-commerce, and its brick-and-mortar stores have struggled since. But the brand is starting to grow out of the challenges with some new business developments, or they're at least trying to. They launched a new website and have expanded their product line.
Okay.
Southpole has also partnered with several celebrities and influencers in an effort to boost its brand awareness. The company has tried to take some steps in the right direction since then, but it's unlikely that this brand is ever going to grow, and in most of our hearts, it really just holds a sentimental, nostalgic piece of memory. But let me know what you guys think in the comments, and make sure to subscribe for more.
Okay, so it seems like, their early success stemmed from them being in living inside their target audience, living where their target audience lived, you know? Um so they were able to so that they were able to walk the streets, see what others were wearing, and then incorporate that into the style of the clothing that they were making. But they also earn the respect from the people in the area, like giving people food and free food and clothes, and every now and then and stuff like that. But it seems like they stopped trying to relate to some of their target audience over time. Like when they tried to branch out with like the RS brand, the Ryan Sheckler brand, the skateboarder brand. But though, at least according to this video, they didn't like around spend time around skaters like they did around urban groups or where they grew up, like, you know what I'm saying, or not grew up but where they came up. They were just like, yeah, here, try this out, and that the RS brand like kind of fell off a bit. Well, I don't want to say a bit, like it didn't last very long. But then, like he said before, they weren't able to adapt fast enough and keep up with the changing times. And they when online sellers started to pop up more and people started to buy things more online, they were slow to adapt to that as well. So you've got to always make sure you know your target audience. Like when you get to a certain point, you can't just keep putting things out just because you're that brand. You've got to keep up with your target audience or they will outgrow you. 2, you've got to make sure that you change with the times. So, like if another innovative way to sell clothing or something was to come out, you've got to be right on it. Kind of like how Zuckerberg was trying to be with did the whole Meta thing. He tried to jump on it as soon as it started to become a relevant thing. Obviously, he wasn't able to pull it off correctly, but you gotta do it kind of like that. And see what else. Know your target audience. Keep up with the changing times. 3 would be to try to become innovative. I in a way, instead of seeing, like in the beginning, they were seeing what others were wearing and they will incorporate that style into theirs. Try to improve on the style in your own way and try it so that you can be the next best thing. Does that make sense? So I'm gonna try to keep those things in mind. And one day, if I ever have my own brand, I'm gonna try to, make it work. Now, obviously, you would have to like partner with other influencers or other stars based off the target audience you're aiming for, and try to branch out in a way. You know what I'm saying? Try to try to grow your store. Try to grow your brand alongside others that are coming up, others that are always hot and new or whatever, and try to determine who is going to be the next best thing and partner with them before they even break out, So things like that. So it's just business sense, business wise, stuff like that. You gotta, but you can't be falling off. You can't get complacent, Anyway, I probably just said a bunch of stuff that people already knew that was the obvious. but I had fun thinking about it and working on it because it's not something I usually focus on, but in the future I'm going to need to. So don't forget that, as always, the link to the video and link to the channel will both be in the description below. Be sure to check them out. And you know what it is after that. In case I don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Peace. Much love to you.